What's up everyone, and welcome on back to the channel. Thunderbolts comes out next week, and I've noticed they're not the typical trailers that we usually see from Marvel. They're changing things up a bit. They're trying to say, hey, we made a good movie this time. Trust us, I know that the last few have been not that great, but this one will. And they're also trying to appeal to cinephiles, which is very interesting and also a little weird. So I wanted to dive into this unique strategy, discuss why they're making these changes and the potential pros and cons of this strategy. But before we get into all of that, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I do deep dives on the film and TV industry and analyze trends. So if you're into that, I'd love to have you. I'm trying to hit 400 subs this month, so if you could help me out with that, that'd be great. And please don't forget to like this video as well. It really does help push it out and find a bigger audience. And also don't forget to comment. I've been loving the community that I'm kind of building on this channel. We may be small, but we are mighty. So please do all of that. But anyway, let's get into it. So this strategy shift started on March 6th when Florence Pugh stated that the Thunderbolts felt like a badass A24 feeling assassin movie with Marvel superheroes. And I'm pretty positive Disney told her to say this because that little phrase kickstarted their entire new shift in marketing, because on March 7th they released a brand new teaser relating it all back to A24. The title of this teaser was Absolute Cinema and made sure to highlight exclusively A24 films, where it noted that the Thunderbolts had stars from Midsummer, A Different Man, and You Hurt My Feelings, all highbrow A24 films. But the teaser did more than that. It continued on to name the rest of the crew that doesn't really appeal to the general public as much, and it more appeals to cinephiles. They highlighted how the writer and director did Beef, the cinematographer did The Green Knight, the production designer did Hereditary, the editor did Minari, and the composers did Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're really trying to tell people, hey, we did a good job on this movie, and they're trying to appeal to the cinephiles who recognize that A24 makes highbrow, high-quality movies, and they're trying to relate their Marvel movie to the brand of A24. They're trying to bring in not only their old audience with this movie, but also a new audience as well. It's like they're really trying to prove to film Twitter that they know how to make a movie, and they want to shut up the guy who has 5 followers and says Marvel doesn't know how to light a movie. And this message continued into April, where they released 2 featurettes detailing the practical work that they did on this film. They released an entire making of featurette where the very first line is about how they got to do their own stunts.
We've been getting to do a lot of our stunts. There's that countdown of 3, 2, 1, go. And then, you know, all hell breaks loose.
They showcased all the practical stunts that they did in this movie with a lot of wire stunts, and then they gave a tease of Florence Pugh jumping off the second tallest building in the world. And then they doubled down on this strategy, releasing an entire featurette detailing even more about how Florence Pugh actually did perform this stunt.
Florence Pugh on the edge.
I've been excited about this since I read the first page of the script.
It's only because she believed in it so much. She took it upon herself to elevate it.
This allows us to descend Florence herself off the second tallest building in the world.
Marvel definitely studied how Mission Impossible is marketed and took a page out of that book. Mission Impossible always details the stunt work and all the practical effects and the dedication of its stars because they know that's what draws people in. Marvel is trying to do the exact same thing with the Thunderbolts. They want to attract that same kind of crowd and show that this movie will be stunt heavy and it will be more practical than usual. It seems that Marvel got really pissed off about all those shots about Thor Love and Thunder and Captain America Brave New World where the CGI wasn't so good and everyone was clowning on them on Twitter. So this time around, they're going above and beyond, trying to tell people that the Thunderbolts will be different. And this is a stark contrast from not only other Marvel films, but also how they were marketing the Thunderbolts just a few months ago. Their very early trailers and teases were very fun and very quirky. It kind of reminded me of the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer or even the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer.
I love that guy.
Sleep when I'm dead.
I'd like not to die today, so maybe somebody else should be driving.
And they even set it to a pop tune of Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now by Starship. Even their posters were different and more comical. After the Super Bowl commercial, they released a Wheaties box poster referencing their recent trailer, and even their first poster, they were all crammed together in a comedic way similar to the This Is the End poster. But now their latest poster is back to being serious. They're also not spoiling anything in these trailers. They really learned from Captain America Brave New World, where they spoiled the entire third act and the Red Hulk reveal in those trailers. And the Thunderbolts trailers are trying as hard as possible not to spoil anything, especially the main villain. Like, I don't even know what this movie is really about. They're not even spoiling that Taskmaster likely dies in this movie, even though it's probably gonna happen, right? Taskmaster is barely in these trailers, and in the casting announcement for Doomsday, all of the Thunderbolts are returning except for Taskmaster. It's gonna happen, right? But they're still not spoiling it, which is great. They're really trying to fix all of their past mistakes with the Thunderbolts and get people back on board for Marvel, which I get because the stakes are pretty high. Marvel has not really exactly been hitting the mark when it comes to these movies, right? I'm not gonna argue quality because it's all subjective, but financially is all objective, and it's pretty easy to show that these movies are struggling. Ant-Man Quantumania did very poorly. The Marvels also did very poorly. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Deadpool, those did very well. But I think that Marvel was particularly shocked by just how poorly Captain America Brave New World did, and this entire shift in strategy kinda lines up exactly when that film bombed. They might have realized that they do need to change things up. They used to have a brand of pretty good films that everyone wanted to see and everyone was going to be talking about for weeks to come. That is not the case anymore. People are not showing up like they used to, and sure, that can be linked to many things, such as the push to streaming during the pandemic, the rising cost of ticket prices, the quality of these films not being as good as they once were, which is why I think they're relating the Thunderbolts to the brand of A24. And this movie is also kind of a gamble. Yelena and Red Guardian have not led their own films before. John Walker was only introduced in a TV show that not that many people saw. Ghost and Taskmaster were kind of forgettable villains in Ant-Man 2 and in Black Widow, and those films didn't do that well either. At least they've got Bucky, who will be making his 10th appearance in Marvel. Like, if this were made in 2014 or 2015 when Marvel proved they could do whatever the fuck they wanted when they launched the Guardians of the Galaxy, I'd be like, sure, this film is a no-brainer, we shouldn't doubt them. But that's not the case anymore. Marvel is no longer the reliable brand that they once were. And this new strategy may not work either. The tracking is not looking so good for the Thunderbolts. In very late March, it was reported that the early tracking for opening weekend was going to be around $70 million. In comparison, Captain America Brave New World did open to $88 million, but it was also on a holiday weekend. So what I'm assuming Marvel is doing right now is they're starting a very long-term strategy to start targeting people who only see good movies or A24 movies or critically acclaimed movies. And I say long-term strategy because on the surface, I don't think this strategy makes sense short-term. I don't think that these are the right people to target. I don't think that these people will go see a Marvel movie just because of who is behind the camera. Because it's pretty well known that it doesn't really matter who's behind the camera. It's pretty well known that if you're hired for Marvel, you're doing whatever Kevin Feige says. But they are setting the tone that this movie will be good and it will be different. My guess is Marvel knows that they do have a good movie on their hands and they will be delivering a great and a different movie. And if that is proven true, if it is a good movie, then I think this strategy will work out. Word of mouth buzz will spread based off of what they've already set in motion. They're implanting all of this knowledge that they have all of these A24 artists, so when this does come out and it is good, it will deny all the naysayers. They're hoping for no, trust me, they cooked this time. They got the director from Beef, they got the cinematographer from The Green Knight, and it shows. The lighting doesn't look like it was a Walmart commercial this time around. Trust me, go see it. And then that buzz will spread and it will continue to surprise people, making this film have legs at the box office, which is something that they have been struggling with. But it does need to be a good movie in order for this strategy to work. If it's not, it kind of blows up in their face, and if anything, it does show that the people running Marvel behind the scenes aren't very good at their jobs because they did hire all of these critically acclaimed artists and they couldn't even make a good movie for Marvel. But things are pointing to the Thunderbolts being a good movie. The social embargo has already been released, and the social embargo has been very good and really showcases how all of Marvel's recent efforts are really working and resonating with people, with multiple posts detailing the practical stunts and relating it to independent cinema. We're seeing this strategy pay off in real time. Though grain of salt here, you can't always trust the social embargo, as Ant-Man's social tweets were very similar, painting the movie as a fun and wild ride until the critic embargo was released 3 days before the film was released, and those critics painted a different story. And then the critical embargo comes out on April 29th. Usually this is a good sign since bad reviews can hurt a film's opening box office and good reviews can help it. For reference, Brave New World's critic embargo dropped the day before the movie came out. And this embargo, critic lifting, this is the earliest that they've done this since the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But we will find out if this strategy actually works in the weeks to come. But let me know if this strategy has actually changed your opinion about the Thunderbolts or about Marvel films in general. Does it draw more intrigue for you? Are you at least a tad more curious based off of who they've hired? Let me know in the comments. And once again, thank you so much for joining. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you do, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.